Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Just letting people in the room. Just be a moment. Welcome, everyone, as you're coming in. It's really fun to see you all. Just be another moment as we're letting folks in the room. Excellent. Hello, everyone. Great. It's nice to see faces this evening. Welcome, everyone. My name is Sari Kamen. I am the Public Programs Director of MOFAD. We are the Museum of Food and Drink. It's lovely to see those of you that have your camera on, and it is also lovely to be with those of you that do not have your camera on. Totally fine, it's up to you. Like I said in the email, Jovan and Tiffanie are encouraging you to keep your cameras on and participate in the demo tonight if you choose, but of course it is totally up to you. Just a quick note that we are recording this program, as we always do with MOFAD programs, so we can archive it on our website. The mute is in place. We do have a chat function. It's a Zoom meeting, as you probably realize, so you are welcome at any point to drop in questions for Jovan and Tiffanie. They will look at your questions throughout. They will also kind of save some time at the end if you have questions that haven't been answered yet. You can comment at any time. We want this to feel really, really informal, and as much as we can feel like, you know, we're in community together, the better. This is going to be a really just warm and lovely evening, and I'm so excited to have both of these women. I'm going to have them introduce themselves now. Let's start with Tiffanie.
Hi everyone. Happy whatever day this is. I think it's hump day. Yeah, hump day.
Yes.
I had to just check to make sure. Those that I have never met, it's just a pleasure to meet you. And those that I have known before, it's a pleasure to see you again. I love reading these names, and those that know that I'm a bartender know I miss faces so bad. So I don't care about what you look like. I just want to see a smile here and there because I miss it, and I'm used to seeing people now with mask over it. So whenever you get comfortable, by all means. But however not, then hopefully you're drinking behind those scenes, okay? Hopefully you're making it with me. Hopefully you're having a glass of wine, and thanks for tuning in. Tiffanie Barriere. I am from Lafayette, Louisiana, but I live in Atlanta, Georgia. Those that know me as the drinking coach. And that's just it. I love to coach people on their palate, definitely on culture, history, and how to navigate through a cocktail or even a mocktail. We have been blessed with a lot of great flavors on this earth. And so incorporating that into a cocktail is my jam. It is my passion. And that's why I'm here.
Thank you so much, Tiffanie. And now I'm gonna just turn it over to Jovan. You can introduce yourself and just take it away. It is your night. Thank you, Jovan. Thank you, Tiffanie.
Fabulous.
Program.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I am so excited to be here tonight and to also see some of my lovely friends in the audience, especially my slow food peeps. Hi. So my name is Jovan Sage. I am the alchemist behind Sage's Larder. I am a few things, but the center of my work is around healing and pleasure. That they're not mutually exclusive, and that just as much as we have a right to our health, we have a right to our pleasure, whatever that looks like, whether that is a cocktail or just a really beautiful herbal bath or whatever that is really bringing that to the fore. And so my background, you know, I used to work for Slow Food USA, and I used to run cafes in New York City, and I'm a former owner of a James Beard nominated restaurant that used to be down here in the Golden Isles. I am based in Savannah, Georgia, and so I am just loving the thunderstorms happening today and also enjoying a very fabulous kombucha ginger cocktail today. So really bringing that measure of all of that, just that health, that wellness, and also a little bit of bullet. So welcome tonight. And I'm actually going to share the screen. I do want this to be more informal once I get out of the screen, but I do want y'all to feel like, you know, maybe you learned a little bit before then, you know, you started imbibing in the cocktails. So feel free to reach out, and if you put questions in the chat, we'll get to them as we get further along. So bear with me as I share my screen. Okay, so we are here to talk about the root to bloom, pleasure and healing in a glass. For those of you who have known my restaurant life, my company, Sage's Larder, used to do a lot of stuff around shrubs and bitters and all kinds of fun stuff. I still do it, but it's more on a fun basis now that I no longer own a commercial kitchen. But that spirit is still there, and that fun is still here as well. And so we're going to be talking about botanicals in so many different ways. So I'm also an herbalist, and so I talk to plants and I get my hands out in the dirt. And so these are just some of, a few of them that you'll know. One of the things that's really important to me and to my work is, yes, I can pull together some really esoteric out there herbs for you to like incorporate into your apothecary or your larder, but the best things can often be found that are already in your kitchen cabinet. So for me, kitchen table medicine, kitchen table cocktails is so important. And so I'm just going to be lifting these up because these are kind of, I think of them as my go-to, whether I am cooking a dish or, making a cup of tea or putting together a really beautiful shrub. And they also have, healing properties in addition to just being really tasty. So we're going to start off with lavender. And, I'm going to throw out some terms that you may not, necessarily know. So lavender is a nervine, which is just something that helps to relax your nervous system. And it's also aromatic. So think about, I think about lavender fields. I've only been in a couple in my life, but it's just one of those just amazing, relaxing experiences that you'll ever have. And so take that into your cup. Think about that as an infusion. Think about that as a tea. Your peppermint, you've got this really beautiful plant that helps to cool the body. So for those of us who are on the coast, it's been about 85, 90 degrees for the last 2 to 3 months. So we use a lot of peppermint, especially I love a really great, porch tea that incorporates that. You've got your elder, which in this last year with COVID, a lot of folks have been hearing a lot about elderberry, which is really wonderful. And it's a beautiful, immune stimulant. But the elderflower makes a really fabulous liqueur. And it's also really beautiful for lung health. So, if you find that you have a cough, like a little bit of like elderflower could be really great for that. Next up, you've got ginger, which for me, anybody who knows me, I am a ginger fiend. I can't get enough of it. Like I'm like ginger on top of ginger on top of ginger. It's just everything. And so you'll always find me, like you look in my bag, there's like ginger candy, trust me on that one. But this one it's warming, it's aromatic, and it just has just like this really just beautiful spice to it that can really kick up a cocktail. Next up, you've got chamomile, which is another nervine. It's a relaxing nervine, but it's also really beautiful as a syrup that you can incorporate into a cocktail. Lemon balm, lemongrass. Again, like these are just really beautiful, relaxing nervines. You've got basil, which you have your culinary basil, which is great and beautiful, and I love it. I have like a lot in my garden right now, but I also love the holy basils. And normally you'll hear them as tulsi, which is actually really beautiful medicine for your system. So that's one of those herbs that I actually made a shrub earlier that incorporates that. So just like nice, it's aromatic, and it just has this really beautiful flavor. Rosemary, which is a stimulant. It's you can do it as a syrup, which I think is really beautiful. You can pair it with a bit of cranberry if you want to do like a nice tart shrub with some apple cider vinegar, and then sage. So sage, hey, I'm Sage, so I've got to incorporate this around here somewhere. But I use it a lot. It's really great, in a healing tea. But also, it's a lot of folks don't also understand you could actually infuse it in some honey. And it makes just a really wonderful, flavorful addition to any kind of healing tea that you have, or a hot toddy, which is my favorite. And this is where we get things are a little bit spicier. So that this is where that pleasure comes in just a little bit more. So folks may also know I'm also a sex doula. So I work in the realm of aphrodisiacs and helping people on their journeys around sex. And so these botanicals are on that aphrodisiac spectrum. So you've got cinnamon, which is like warms the blood. You've got your rose petals, which are aromatic, but they're also like a really fabulous nervine. So they're really calming to the system, and just like super, super sexy. You've got cacao, which I really love incorporating into bitters, or a really beautiful like rose, cinnamon, cacao syrup. Chilies, which again stimulates the digestion. It like gets that perspiration going. Your vanillas and your nutmegs, and then somehow oat straw is also like a really great aphrodisiac, surprisingly so. If you've ever heard the term sowing your wild oats, you can thank oat straw for that. Sarsaparilla, prickly pear, which is the fruit of a cacti, which grows really wild out here. And so I've worked with prickly pear medicine and incorporated into shrubs when I was selling shrubs commercially. And it's just a really beautiful and tart fruit. And then hibiscus. I have been stewarding hibiscus, the Jamaican Roselle version, for the last 5-6 years. I was given seeds from an old farmer at the Southern Saw Conference many years ago, and it's just become like this plant that has followed me, that has like spoken to me, and that I continue to steward the seeds and pass those on to other folks. And it's just, again, it's beautiful medicine. It's kind of got this really beautiful cranberry. And for folks who don't know, you're not for this kind of hibiscus, you're not necessarily eating the flower. Although you can eat the leaves young, and you can candy the flower as well. But what you're looking for is the fruit. And it looks kind of like this, which is, it's automatic now. It's called the calaxis. And so it's the fruit. So it's where the seed is. And it's where, whenever you get like that, giant bag of Jamaican hibiscus, like it's just really tart and red. And so I incorporated into like one of my top selling teas. It's called Coastal Dreams, and the hibiscus is at the center of that. The gin that we're going to be working with tonight incorporates the actual hibiscus that I have grown and stewarded. And so like hibiscus is just like one of those beautiful medicines that I just love. It's amazing. And it also like helps to cool down your system, and also helps if you have high blood pressure as well. And so I'm just going to talk a little bit about like some of these other things, and I'm not going to try to like get caught up in the slides too much, because I know that that's a lot of information. But a lot of folks, like, they ask me like, what is a bitter? And so a bitter is just an aromatic concentration of, it can be roots, bark, fruit peel, seeds, spices. The traditional, like when you're thinking about like where bitters came from, like bitters were originally medicine in so many ways. And so now we mostly call those tinctures. But for me, as somebody who does a lot of work around gut health, and who is just a cocktail nerd, like I make bitters, and I buy a crazy amount of bitters that just like they accumulate like little bunny rabbits like all over the place. But some of the original ones that you're going to look at are going to be the ones that come out of New Orleans, that come out of New York. And then I have like this really amazing one that's like from Germany. And this is like strong medicine. This one, the Underberg, is just really strong medicine. You're technically supposed to drink this whole bottle if you don't feel well, if your tummy is like upset and everything. I love bitter. I've never been able to drink a whole bottle. Like I can maybe like shoot about half of it. Like, you know, maybe back in college when I was doing Jaeger bombs, like this would have been perfect. But now as an adult, that just doesn't quite work for me. But you can also incorporate coffee, which is bitter, cacao, your hops, your grapefruit, your licorice, and you can blend them too. I do a lot of, you know, single herbs, and then I like to blend things later. And, you know, I'm sure there's still some bottles of some of my specialty bitters that are like roaming around, you know, the Orlando bar scene, because I had some really wonderful bartender friends there who just were like, give me everything. So I gave them everything, including hibiscus bitters, which are just super tasty. Syrups and shrubs. And this is one of those things where I'm like always scared to give people recipes around it because there's like 50 million different ways to like do it. And for me, the way that I think about it and the way that I do it now is more like jazz than it is, you know, really like sitting down and doing a recipe exactly that way, unless I'm doing something commercially. And then, you know, of course, I'm looking at the acidic levels and all of those things to make sure that it's shelf stable or if it needs to go to the refrigerator. So it just looks different. And so a shrub is quick and dirty way to explain a shrub. It's a syrup that has vinegar. So, you know, you're looking at a 1 to 1 to 1. If you're doing like fruit, like I did a strawberry shrub earlier today. And so I, you know, of course I macerated the strawberries and I just did a quick and dirty one. So I did it on the stove. I didn't, you know, allow it to sit in the vinegar for 2 to 4 weeks and then combine it on the stove with sugar, like, which is like your old school version. I always think that there's the long versions and then there's the short versions. And then the very short version, like say you're having like, you know, cocktails right now and you totally forgot to like put together a syrup or you don't have any like syrups in the house, like you can very easily do, you know, a cup of boiling water, a cup of sugar, and like whatever herbs, fruits, bark, whatever those things are in it, let it macerate for just a little bit, make sure the sugar dissolves, and then you're good to go. Just put it in the refrigerator when you're done. And so for me, it's like, here's a really simple way to do it. The other thing, you know, because I actually started my company around jams and preserves, is that you can also make cocktails from jams. Which is one of my favorite ways to use them, is, you know, taking a little bit of that, taking, you know, especially I had this really amazing peach bourbon jam that, you know, you mix with a little bit of bullet and some sparkling water or some seltzer and you're good to go. So really quick and dirty cocktail that's just super, super tasty for you. And, you know, I see some of the folks here who've been to like some of my other classes before. So I am also a ferment nerd. So fermentation is like one of my specialties. I've been fermenting for well over a decade at this point. Yeah, well over a decade, probably closer to like 15 years at this point. And it started from a place of like, I think it was like the great shortage of kombucha in New York one summer where all the like kombucha spots were actually being busted for having an alcohol content level that was above what New York State felt was appropriate. So everybody had to basically scrap their kombucha, put it away. You know, I had made it maybe once or twice before, but that at that moment in time, it was just like, I need my kombucha. And so I just was like, let's get this going. Let's get this on and popping. And so kombucha is like one of those main things that I'm known for, and that I just love. I still love to do. But I also love things like mead. I love herbal beers, fortified wines. There's just so many different ways when you look at, you know, how humans like started brewing in so many ways. It started with fruit. It started with fruit and sugar or honey and thyme and, you know, all those lovely like microbes and yeasts that are just kind of like just hanging out. They just hang out. They're really there. Like surprise, like you have more friends than you thought you did. And you know, for me, like moving from New York City to like Southeast Georgia, like you can tell the difference in my ferments from the air that's there in New York City to the air that's like down on a farm in Georgia. And so for me, I just get really excited with the ways in which different ferments have moved and have shifted, and just like all the different fun ways in which people are really leaning into that. And so now commercially, you can actually buy things like June, which is like think of it as like a honey kombucha. You can actually buy that, yes, regular June, but also like, the adult version that has like a really great alcohol content. There's now like hard kombuchas in like very real ways. And so I think that that's just another way to like honor that history of it, that herbal history, because now a lot of folks are actually incorporating herbs and stuff into their kombuchas, which is always exciting for me because I love a good funky flavor. So now I'm going to talk about gin. And so, one of the reasons, like for me as an alchemist, as an herbalist, I love playing in the kitchen. Like I am like a mad scientist. I like to try a recipe 3 times before I start messing around with it. So I like have this very like weird, borderline OCD connection to like people's recipes. Like what is the way that the original chef or appreciator of food thought that this should taste and look like. And now what happens when I add my own thing to it? Okay, now let's add this thing here, like, and let's do this. And so this was just one of those things. And the company that I worked with, Simple Man Distillery, like, Justin walked into our restaurant and was like, somebody said that y'all would be the people who could help me. Chef pointed to me and was like, nah, that's the person that's gonna help you. I just drink gin. Like, she actually knows botanicals. And so that led us to a really epic gin tasting session where because my background is also in coffee, I know how to taste without imbibing and being on the ceiling later. The guys, however, just had a really great time. And so we tasted our way through about 20 gins, from just slow gins to just all over the place. There's so many different ways in which gins are created and brought to the fore, but the center of it is going to be your juniper berry. It for me, if it doesn't have juniper berry, it's not gin. It's flavored vodka. Do with that as you will. So juniper is like the center of it. And so sourcing that, because, it's, I don't know if you've ever like seen a juniper tree, but that wasn't something that, we necessarily grow in the Southeast in that way and are able to harvest. And so, finding a really good source for that. But then there's some like basics to a gin. You have your roots. So your angelica roots, your bay leaves, your coriander, your citrus peel. And I just remember having this really amazing conversation, with one of my colleagues and friends, Dr. David Shields, around like traditional Southern botanicals and like what are the things that we can grow in the South that are kin to some of the things that you would incorporate in a gin. So that's what that looked like. And of course I had to incorporate the hibiscus to it, which gives it that really beautiful pink color. But the other aspect of it was just like, okay, like, how do we source it? And I'm not going to give you the recipe. But one of those things was like bringing out culantro, and incorporating that into there, of course, ginger, and juniper, but the hibiscus was really, for me, was just this really beautiful way to like bring in these cranberry notes to the gin, and also just give it like this really beautiful, like, pink color, which is fun, but it's also like, if you put it in the sun, guess what? It's going to start turning, clear, because there's no artificial coloring to it. So it's just, one of those things where it's like, it's here and then it's gone. But it's just a really beautiful thing to see something that you spent so much time. And I can actually show you, this is like one of the original testing bottles, because I just did I tried different things like, cold infusion, hot, warm infusion, time, which is great. And so this is like the last of the last test batch, and it's called Farm Gin on here. But then it goes to here. So this is like one of the first bottles, and I can actually stop sharing too. I can figure that out here. Yay. Awesome. So then there's this guy, which was like one of the very first ones that came off at the bottling plant. And I had it in the sun for a little bit, because I wanted to see what happened. And so you can see this is, that pink, because it's not artificial, like, goes away at some point. So, but I keep this on my altar, because for some folks who don't know, like for a lot of West African, religions, like gin is actually one of those things that you offer your ancestors, and it's used in ceremony. And so I just, offer this up to my ancestors as a reminder of, the gifts and talents that I have, and also the things that we can bring together when we all come together. So that's that in a nutshell. But I also wanted to like give a chance, because I want to make sure that we have time for questions, but I also want to be able to like hand this off to Tiffanie, because guess what, I can talk all day about really nerdy things about botanicals and fermented foods and beverages and everything, but Tiffanie is just one of those really amazing and lovely lights in the culinary world. And I don't remember the first time we met, but I know one of the last events we did together was like a MOFAD event, actually. So I'm just like grateful that, when I called her, because somehow magically I had her number, she's like, who is this? And I'm like, it's Jovan, and I have a proposal. And she said yes. So I'm grateful for Tiffanie, and I'm just gonna like hand it off to her to like, show us some fabulous skills.
Feelings are so important, and that doesn't happen a lot with a lot of people. So thank you so much. The feels have always been there. I see myself, but I'm actually going to put everyone on a grid so I can see everyone, because I still, as much as I 10 bar and speak, I still get nervous. Even when it's on my computer screen, I'm like, I want to see everybody. I want to connect. It just helps me to be the bartender that I am. Oh, thank you for turning your camera on. I appreciate that. I'm not going to be calling out people on the spot, but Jovan, it's such a great presentation that you bring and you share. We all nerd out on a certain thing, and I have nerded out on alcohol. It feels like my entire life. I grew up in the drinking family here in Louisiana, and we always had alcohol around. We always had a bottle. There was always some kind of punch, of course, something to mix, and tons of ice and music. And I could not wait to get old enough to enjoy and feel the smiles that my elders did. I didn't wait till 21, I'll tell you that. I did not wait until 21. I jumped right on in there, and snuck through the cabinet. And when I was in the cabinet, I was like, this is it. This is it. I remember my parents finding out, my uncles and aunts finding out, and I was not in trouble. However, they were like, if you want this, come on in. So it was very communal. It was very welcoming, and since then, it's something that I just have loved to talk about. Obviously, it's what I do in my career. The joy of a good cocktail, and even a mocktail, but really it is about the flavors. And Jovan gave you a nice flow of like botanicals and aromatics and things that really stimulate you. That's the real reason I got into this, because my first sip, I remember what it was. I remember feeling it from the head to the toe, pun intended, but literally feeling it from head to toe. And I remember my great aunt looking at me and going, how do you feel? And of course, here I am telling on my whole family. They're giggling, like, let's see what she says. Like, I'm all giggly, and I'm like, I'm hot. And it feels, well, I have all these non adjectives, but I could describe how I felt. And I felt happy, and I felt fun. As I got older, and learning more about this industry, I really realized the importance of the earth and what incorporates into these spirits. Fact indeed, spirits, and that's why they are called spirits, because of that feeling. We want to stay on the positive side of that. And so if there is any negative condensation to that spirit, understand to pull back. And there's another great spirit called water that is way better than the booze, and it's more affordable. So there's that part. But I was so happy when Jovan called me. Yes, she jumped in my phone. I never answer it. Well, and I did. And I said, absolutely, because I don't know how we, the first time, but I know every time we met, we had this connection on our love for Mother Earth and botanicals flavor and a fun cocktail. So it was a given yes for me to do that, because what I do is I craft cocktails from those natural ingredients. And when she said gin, I was like, yes, yes, yes. It is my favorite spirit to work with, hands down, always has been. I'm a Southern woman and people want me to say bourbon all day, but I'm like, no, it's gin. And it's gin because of all those botanicals that we saw on the slide. It's all those layers and flavors that go into a clear spirit. And so, in the bottle that I'm using from Simple Man Distillery, that Jovan put her beautiful creations into, it was just an idea of just this all makes sense. And one thing about gin is when you incorporate other flavor components that match it, gin just wakes up even more, and you grow and you grow. And not only does the cocktail taste good, it feels good, it smells good, and it looks beautiful. So that said, let's talk my way through this cocktail. I wanted to do a spritz, and I was like, yeah, but no, but yeah, but no, but I want to goof off a little bit with the spritz. We see the spritz everywhere. We see it usually layered with soda, champagne, some kind of botanical bitter, usually some kind of Campari or some kind of Amaro or vermouth. And then there's a gin or vodka or whatever spirit you choose. Well, I'm going to change the whole game up. We're going to do a nice gin spritz, but we're going to incorporate some flavors from the earth inside and garnish it real well. So, is anyone making this cocktail with me? I see a couple of folks like batching it up. I see some hands in. Dana, I see you, girl. I see it. I see it going down. If you're making it, cool. If not, no worries. I'm going to thumbs up. Appreciate that. Thanks, team. Thank you. If you're not making it, it's okay. Have a drink, have a mocktail, because I'm going to make it for you and I'm going to drink it. So, all I called for on the recipe was something very simple that's already in the house, and that's tea. We have tea all over the house. We keep it on deck. It's next to the coffee. It's there, but do we drink a lot of it? We should. Those herbs are so beautiful for us. Some have caffeine, some do not. But we are bringing in some beautiful flowers and herbs and flowers, excuse me, and steeping them. And when that warm water touches them, they just go into fruition and give you great flavor. So I called for a chamomile tea, but your favorite tea is cool with me. Nice and double steeped. And I did a double steep because it's a bit stronger. When you double steep any herb or anything at that matter, you're going to get the best of the best. It's going to be nice and strong. You may use less of it. And for those that are not drinking, tea makes a great substitute for alcohol. You can have tea old fashions, you can have tea spritz, you can have tea pina coladas. Yes, I said it. Tea coladas. It's a thing. It's a thing. And so I just double steeped some tea. I've got some chamomile, and then I call for some honey syrup. We got to keep those bees a job. Honey is delightful. They need a job. They're out here working really hard. They are doing the thing. And we've got more honey this year because of the pandemic, unfortunately. We weren't outside spraying and we weren't doing anything. So those bees put a lot of great honey. There's local honey sourced everywhere. And those beekeepers and those bees do a lot of good work. But honey has this natural butteriness to it that puts sugar to the side for me. I do love agave, but honey, you can spot it out anywhere. And so that's a sensory thing for me. That's something that awakes a cocktail. And when you taste it instantly, you're like, that's honey. You can identify it instantly. So honey syrup, which is just taking your thick honey and diluting it with a little water, probably 3 parts to 1, depending on how big your honey bear or jar or whatnot. And I just kind of pour out a little bit in another container, and then put actually, if your water's hot enough in the faucet, then you can actually use the water there. Sometimes bringing it to a boil will take away those beautiful flavors if you've got a wildflower or an orange blossom or a flavored honey. So you just want to put a nice above lukewarm water in there and just give it a nice spin. The chopstick works great for it. Just a nice little spin there. If you do bring it to some heat, low, 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 low simmer. If you see baby bubbles, stop it and let it chill. I've got some herbs from my mom's garden. I am not at home, so I'm happy to be home. I've been home for about an hour and a half, and she's got little herbs already growing. So I've got some lemon balm, I've got some sage, I've got some rosemary, and I think we've got a little bit of thyme in there, and fresh grapefruit. Grapefruit, beautiful. I've already sliced mine in half. Grapefruits, they really bring out the citrus that I think is desired in most cocktails. Sometimes spirits call for something like a lemon or a lime, and if you use a lemon versus a lime, the cocktail goes way to the left. Neutral with the grapefruit, also very, very aromatic, so beautiful and very distinguishable, which gives you some very calm notes. So I think I've done the checklist. Oh, we need some gin. If you don't have it, it's all good. You can use all those ingredients without gin, and it's just as delicious. I've got champagne or sparkling water. You can use either or both. Let's do this thing. It's our cocktail. Let's do this thing. Of course, some ice, a beautiful vessel, and we're going to shake some things up. Let's get into it. I'm using the largest glass in the house because why not? I'm also making a Spritz. So a Spritz needs a lot of space. We cannot make this cocktail in a short glass. Maybe the tallest mason jar you have, maybe a big old smoothie cup. I don't care as long as it's massive. You deserve this goblet of a drink. So get the big glass that you have. Of course, my mom has the biggest, beautiful glasses, hands down. In a cocktail shaker, I'm actually going to use a 3. Normal bartenders, we get very angry about this 3 because it's very unfunctional. But if yours is functional, use it. I actually have one that is functional, and it's one of my good friends, and it travels. Love the glassware, Barrett's. You're looking real good. I can already see what's about to happen up there. I see it. I can see it. But if you don't have this, a 10 on 10, whatever you've been shaking your cocktails in, I've seen mason jars, I've seen smoothie bottles, I've seen Yeti cups, I've seen Tupperware. We've done it. It's been really fun. Building cheapest ingredient to most expensive. That way we don't really have to mess up our booze. We also have space to kind of build as we go. Maybe our grapefruit is different than the honey. Maybe you've got a white grapefruit or a red grapefruit. Maybe a fruit fly came around. Who knows? So I just sliced my grapefruit in half. One half I'm going to slice. Let me move that over. One half I'm just going to slice a little moon. That moon's going to be a great garnish. If you want to slice all of it into a moon, that's okay. That whole half we're going to garnish away. But the other half, we will slice in half into quarters and juice that entire quarter inside of our cocktail shaker. Protect yourself, protect your computer, protect your spouse, protect your dog. Use your hand, cover that, and squeeze all of that juice directly inside. If you've got hand juicers, get into it. Use your tools. That's what they are for. You can instantly smell the grapefruit coming off the pill. There's lots of beautiful oils that are very aromatic to the cocktail that will also go inside. So you're juicing that entire quarter. If you want to throw that in there just to get those oils, you're more than welcome to. If not, compost this baby, all right? The earth is ready for it. Once you squeeze that quarter of grapefruit inside, if you are making 2, then you will squeeze the other quarter, please. We'll go for some honey syrup. The butter of honey syrup. Our palates are different. I write recipes all the time. I'm not perfect. Sometimes it's sweet to me and not sweet to you. That's why we like to build from the cheapest ingredient to most expensive. I'm going to go for about a 3/4 ounce of good honey syrup because I will be adding a nice spicy gin inside and some herbs. So just 3/4 of the honey syrup. Delicious. It just smells amazing. And then we'll grab our tea, our nice good steep tea. For our tea, friends, we are going to actually use the same amount of tea that we would do booze. So I'm calling for 2 solid ounces or 1.5 ounces, depending on your jigger. If you don't have a jigger, we can use tablespoons. Those are just as well. 4 tablespoons is 2 ounces. And you can eyeball it. You've been doing this. You're a pro. You got that. 2 ounces of tea going right inside. If it's warm, don't worry. Mine's chilled, so no worries. Put that right inside. For those that are not drinking, you stop right here. You add some ice in this baby. You shake it up courteously. You toss it in your glass. Throw all your favorite herbs and fruits and top it with club soda. And this is going to be the mocktail that's going to get you through all the Zooms, all the calls, and you're going to have those flavors. Just because we're not drinking does not mean that we have to have water or tea or coffee. You deserve all the attitude. Obviously, we know that kombucha and teas and coffee make it happen, but we get a little bored, right? So we get into the mocktail world. Find your favorite recipes, sub out the booze for tea. You're a good go. But if you need a cocktail, let's get into this. Let's get into it. Soon, this will be in everyone's home. I'm looking forward to it. I just stumbled upon it. The distiller and Jovan have just touched my soul with the botanicals here. It brings it all around full circle, and it just brings home what the earth does to a good spirit. So remember, the same amount of tea, it's going to be the same amount of gin. Friends, if you feel like you need a double because you deserve it, and you're like, I need a double, you do deserve it. I'm going to tell you that. But a double only makes your drink stronger. It doesn't make your drink better. So if you are into doubling this cocktail, I would love you to double the ingredients. That's just the best thing to do. Or you could do something that my mom taught me. When you need a double, you take a shot while you make the cocktail, and then it's hot and burning, and you chase it with the cocktail. Because there's a double right there. Mom, I just called you out. I did. Yes, I did. So if you need a double, again, it only makes it stronger, doesn't make it better. We work so hard on those ingredients. Let's make them balanced. Largest vessel ever. Let's grab that and put some ice inside. We want to fill this thing up. We don't want a little bit of ice, but right as you're putting in your ice, let's slice in that fruit. Slice in the grapefruit there. That way the oils and the juice can layer out as we get through this cocktail. If you're into bitters, if you're into any kind of Amaro, this would be really good. I don't have bitters on me at the time, but I believe this would be beautiful if you dashed a few bitters. When you use bitters in a spritz, it's great to season the ice. And so dashing the bitters right on top and letting them just tear down will really give you a full effect there. And some ice into my shaker. The moment we've been waiting for, the shake of greats. We do not want to rock this thing to sleep. We are not children here. This is not a baby. We also don't want to jack it because that doesn't look good. Not a good look at all, friends. Not a good look at all. We want to do a really healthy shake here. Doctor says our blood flows very well when our hands are above our head. So we're going to 2 hands because you have 2. You got 2 of them. I know you're so used to your 1 hand, but you're not football players. We're making cocktails here. 2 hands, top and bottom. We bring our hands up high and we shake really hard. Hard means fast in the bartender world, 10 to 15 seconds. If you're worried that you look weird while shaking, you do. You look very weird. But don't worry, it's not about you. It's about the cocktail. Frosty, super frosty. If you can open it up and you see bubbles, you did a good job. If you don't see bubbles, sorry, friends, you did not do a good job. You've got to really incorporate that honey and that tea, obviously the booze and that grapefruit. Usually, we're told to top the cocktail with bubbles. I'm here to tell you, all of my friends that are bartenders, we stirred you wrong. You don't have to top with bubbles. What we should be doing is putting the bubbles on the bottom. There's so much oxygen and yeast inside of bubbles that once it goes into a glass, They're just excited. You can hear the excitement, snap, crackle, pop happening. And they're just waiting for something to come inside of it. So let's do that. I've got some kava, nice dry kava here. If we are doing bubbles, you know the rules. Hands on the cage. We don't want to hurt anyone, including ourselves. Never. We also don't ever want to open this bottle towards ourselves. We want to open it to a 45-degree angle. We're using our thumb and index finger to squeeze tight. We do not squeeze the cork. We don't squeeze the bottle. We turn the bottle, and you turn the bottle towards you, nice and slow. A nice hiss should come out. I was once told by a Frenchman that your champagne should hiss at you like an ex-lover. It should be like, psst. Stuck with me for years. I love it. So I listen for that. We want to keep our bottle at a 45-degree angle. That way we see that little air bubble so we don't waste anything like Magic Johnson and all the guys did back in the day. We don't want to waste these bubbles. We want these bubbles. So I'm just going to top the bottom with my kava. So much oxygen, so much yeast, so much effervescence. I'm also going to add some club soda. The club soda will just give us, the mineral water, the bubbles will just give us a little bit of volume, a little bit of dilution, and make it really, really balanced. So 1/4 of the bubbles, 1/4 of the mineral water. Look at that activity. So many bubbles. They're so ready for a friend. They're so excited. Let's give it some fun. And notice I don't have to use a spoon because the bubbles are just ready to take on my poured content. Every drop counts. Don't shy yourself. Every drop goes inside. Color is gorgeous. And now we get to get our fun herbs there. Herbs, they do so well to the body. They tickle the nose. They smell absolutely great. They all have oil that bring out a beautiful fragrance for you to enjoy. You see some bartenders spanking it. It's not that bad. Don't spank it. It doesn't deserve that. It really doesn't. A nice little spank, pop there. As soon as you touch it on your hand and waft it there, it wakes up a tad. So I just woke mine up a tad, and I'm just going to slide it on in there. That's some fresh sage. I've got some rosemary. Gosh, I feel good already. And I've got some lemon balm. Mom, it looks good. These are great. If you are keeping herbs in the home, once you pick them, do not saturate them. You can definitely put them in the fridge, but wrap a nice cold paper towel around there and lay it in the fridge. I'm hoping that you're picking it because you want to use it within 2 or 3 days. If you're not ready, don't pick it. But if you do, if it does get a little brown, you can make shrubs or syrups, like Jovan showed us earlier. And make it really pretty because you want to show off. Make it really gorgeous because you want to treat someone. Make it gorgeous because Instagram wants to see it. This is my ode to Jovan's beautiful, beautiful gin, to MOFAD, and to all of you. Cheers. Oh, Miss Connors, it's beautiful. Yes, ma'am. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Team Dana, I see y'all partying hard. I see it. Yes, to the communal cheers. I love it. I love it. Nicole's team has a whole front row. They're just like, yes, we're loving it. Miss Julie, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is for you all. Oh, come on. Jenna, yours is better than mine. Come on. Look at that. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. I want to see you show off in front of me. Drinks deserve it. Cheers to you.
It's everything. Oh, I wish I was there.
Can't get back into it. Everything. The honey's there. The tea is there. Obviously, the gin is there. Every single component is in there, and that's what makes for a balanced cocktail. Thank you for letting me create that for you.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so very much. It's so beautiful. And we've got about 10 minutes for questions if y'all want to like type them in, or if you just want to like vibe out with each other, like that's fine too.
Yeah, shoot some questions if you need.
Delivered to Florida, not yet. So right now, distribution is in Georgia, and just COVID kind of kept everything from expanding out further. I believe, I'm trying to think, I know it's in Brunswick. So if you're in Northeast Florida, like you could drive up to Brunswick and hit up JP's. If you're in South Carolina, like I'm here in Savannah, you know, I believe we could, I can't remember where I saw it here locally, but there's an entire list on Simple Man Distillery's website where you can actually see where it's happening.
I had to take a picture. I had to.
Oh, perfect.
Take a photo. I mess up every time and I drink it all the way to the end. I'm like, I didn't take a picture. But an empty glass is a great picture too because it shows proof.
Okay. And any organic tea? Yes. Yes. And especially like if you don't have black tea and all you have is like herbs, like scoop them up, make your tea. You can do the double extraction, or you can also do a decoction like on the stove where basically you'll use twice as much water, do your herbs, and then you'll reduce it down and then strain off the solids. And that's another way to do that same kind of technique.
I believe the recipe is on the website and possibly on the link. So if you need to remake that, if you didn't catch it, by all means, snag it up. If not, then you can reach out to me on all social platforms and I will help you out.
Yeah, I'll just chime in on that because we don't have it on our website per se, but I sent it out with an email I sent to everyone. So in case you didn't get that email, it came from info@MOFAD, and sometimes those emails get stuck in like spam or junk. So make sure you check, because I'm also going to send another follow-up email to everyone tomorrow, also from info@MOFAD, and I'll send the recipe again, and I'll make sure to send like lots of information about Jovan and Tiffanie so you can follow them and stay in touch with them for everything.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
And that question was, can you deliver the cocktail to Florida?
Yes, yes.
Because I was like wondering the same thing, but perfect.
Give me, if you can give me like 48 hours, maybe I can. Would you like
a private charter flight?
Glass included, yes. Thank you. I would love to ship it to everyone. But you can do it. You've got all those ingredients right in the house. You got it.
Jovan, could you tell us about the kombucha ginger cocktail? Because we also sent the recipe out for that one.
Oh, awesome. Yes, yes. So so yes, you can use any botanical gin. The Empress is really good for that as well, and it's got that cute purple color to it. But for the kombucha cocktail, so this came out of I actually took this into work one day. So I used to work for Slow Food USA, and we had an office in Brooklyn, and I was charged with bringing some kind of fermented tastiness. And because I was, you know, again, making lots of kombucha, I decided to do a ginger cocktail using the kombucha, making syrup, and actually candied ginger as well, because I was really, you know, like, when all of your coworkers are like foodies and have traveled all over the world to like eat, like you kind of have to like step your game up just a little bit. And so the kombucha cocktail was born. And then the cooking channel, I don't know how they found me, but they found me. And so they came to my Brooklyn kitchen and I taught them how to make kombucha. And they called me the kombucha doula, which is long before I was an actual doula, which is really beautiful. But I was just like, you know what, y'all got to take this recipe. And it's so much fun. And it's, you know, for those who do like more of like a brown liquor, I think it just like fits so well. But you could also, like, instead of ginger, you could do hibiscus syrup and, you know, do the gin. And so there's just so many different ways in which you can dress it up, because kombucha already has all of those bubbles, all that funky flavor that I love. So it's just going to make a really fun cocktail for you.
Delicious. Thank you for that. Cool. I think we're there unless anyone has any final questions. Again, I just want to thank you so much, Jovan and Tiffanie, for being with us tonight. I feel like we've been talking about this event forever, like when it was really cold and we were like, it's going to be spring and like maybe things will be better with the pandemic and we can just like have a fresh start and talk about like drinking cocktails that will rejuvenate everything. And here we are. And I think all of that came true, which is really lovely. So it was always a pleasure. I'm so glad you are back for your second MOFAD event together. And of course, you're always welcome. You are truly the dream team.
Thank you so very much.
Yeah, of course. And thank you everyone so much for joining us, and just continue to stay safe. Please sign up for our newsletter if you haven't yet. We're still doing virtual programs. We'll keep doing them because we love being able to connect with all of you all over the place. So I'll send you an email tomorrow so you can do that as well. So good night, everyone. Thank you so much. Take care.
Good night, y'all. Bye.